Hey there, Caleb.
Hello, Ryan. Welcome.
Thank you. The video disabled thing is showing up on my screen.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
Right click on that, or about to record, about to multi-pin. That's not the feature I usually get. What happens if I make you a co-host? Does that help?
Yeah, there I am.
Okay. It's so weird. I right click and usually there's a different checkbox.
I know every time they update the software, it throws me for a loop. I have to relearn everything.
Yeah.
Some maniacal developer has been moving the mute button around, and yeah, I'm frozen.
Looks like I need to do the same thing. I'll make everybody a co-host. Very strange. Supervisor Schofield, are you able to play stop video spotlight, make host? There you are. Perfect.
I'm good.
Excellent. I dressed up today.
Was at a funeral, Caleb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a Cal Fire funeral for a young man that passed away. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience and a real tribute to the young man that was part of the Cal Fire team.
Yeah, what a terrible loss. I saw the announcement and the photo of him and his family. Just what a
Yeah, very young, young baby, just born.
Hi, Caleb. It's Leslie.
Hello, Leslie.
Says
Turns
I
out I
can't.
have to make everybody a co-host today to get you to show up.
There I am. Okay. Said I couldn't go live without your help. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Caleb, I'm having other video issues, and so I'm going to log off and log back on.
Okay.
I know Dan is here too, Caleb.
Yeah. I don't see him waiting.
Where are you, Caleb?
Yeah,
He's
no
at
good.
the beach.
The Atlantic or the Pacific?
I don't know. Which way is the... I'm going to go with Pacific.
Okay, good, because the Atlantic's getting a storm. So
Yeah. I'm beginning to wonder about these out of offices, you know, how much is really getting done? Where again are you, Caleb?
But don't you think that's amazing that you can do this job from anyone?
It is amazing. A lot of people figuring that out.
I just heard today of some employer who just found out that their employee had actually moved to Europe and has been never told them.
that's funny. As long as the productivity continues.
There's Dan.
All right. Well, we'll see how many people can be co-host.
Oh, look at that. Amy showed up.
Let's see if we can do the same with her. Make a co-host.
We were just harassing Amy.
All right. So, Leslie, should we wait for Kristen or?
Caleb, where are you?
I told you I'm at the beach.
Jeez,
Been established, Pacific Coast.
man.
I'm not sure. I didn't see it on Kristen's calendar, so I'm not sure. I didn't speak with her today. I don't know if she's attending.
Ryan, do we still have you?
I'm here. I'm just having technical issues with my video, so everybody will be spared the view of my face today.
You're in your pajamas, aren't you?
You're the draw.
Yes.
I'm the employee that moved to Europe without telling anyone. I confess.
Smart move.
All right, well, I tell you what, supervisors, if we're ready, we can start, and I'll just do a quick introduction and get us recording. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nevada County COVID-19 Business Task Force meeting. My name is Caleb Dardick. I'm a project administrator in the CEO's office in Nevada County, and pleased to help facilitate this July meeting. And as you just heard, this meeting is being recorded. It's also being broadcast live on YouTube, and I'll periodically check over there for questions. I think the 9 of you who are on the call right now are probably all very familiar with Zoom at this point, but if not, down at the bottom, there's a Q&A tab that you can put questions in. You can also just use the chat function as well, and we'll moderate both of that. So with that, let me turn it over to Supervisor Miller and then Supervisor Schofield for a introduction.
Well, it was nice to see in the paper today that advanced ticket sales for the Fair Ed are in, full, going strong, and looks like they're going to have a better opening day than they've had for years. So, if that's a sign of good times, that's great. The fireworks were good. Going to NACO tomorrow, so we're going to be able to find out from supervisors throughout the United States how their economies are doing, what their issues are. And I think pretty much the same issues that we have are being faced by county officials in other states. So it's going to be an interesting 4 days. Can't go anywhere because it's going to be raining for 4 days in Washington, D.C. And so we'll see what happens. But it seems like everyone's got a smile on their face now, Caleb.
It is nice. It's nice to see people in person.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's great. Supervisor Schofield.
Well, same thing. Yeah, I'm really pleased to see the fair. Looks like it's really going to be good. I think they're still looking at what kind of state restrictions might be put on, because they are considered one of those, what are they called? The mega events, I guess, where you potentially have 10,000 people a day. And there's hardly a day at the fair where you don't have at least 10. So hopefully the restrictions from the state, and some of the difference between them and like El Dorado County. El Dorado is a county fair, where our fair is a district fair, which makes them a state agency. So it'll be interesting to see what the governor has to say. But I was downtown Grass Valley for their Saturday event, which was fun, exciting. Like Dan said, lots of smiles on people's faces. And then to be at the parade was real wonderful too. So hopefully we're getting to a point where we really won't need these meetings much longer. So I guess it kind of depends on what people like Ryan have to say. So I'm through.
All right, Supervisor. Well, I think that is a pretty good transition to Ryan Gruber, who's the Director of the Health and Human Services Agency here at the county, for our monthly COVID-19 public health update. And I don't know if, Ryan, where you want to start, but perhaps with this question of larger events like the fair, is there anything you can tell us about that?
Sure, and I'm apologies that my video isn't working, and I'm happy to post out links to the current guidance. Supervisor Schofield is absolutely correct that the fair qualifies as a quote unquote outdoor mega event, which is one of the few places where restrictions remain from the state. Those exceptions include face covering guidance especially for unvaccinated folks, and then mega events, which is over 10,000 people when it's an outdoor setting. That means that they strongly recommend verification of vaccine status or a negative COVID test, which can be done, I believe, through attestation, not through actually looking at people's paperwork. It also involves following the state's face covering guidance, which really applies to all settings, so it's not unique to mega events. And then guidelines around putting up signage and communications and having masks available and that sort of thing. And I know that our team's been working closely with Patrick and others at the fairgrounds to make sure that they sort of understand the lay of the land there. I can dive into just a brief COVID update in terms of our cases. I can talk a little bit about the Delta variant that's making headlines, and then talk a little bit about vaccinations, as well as issue a call to action for our business participants on that front. So if
Sounds great.
Sounds good. Okay. So in terms of cases, we've obviously declined dramatically from our peak months in the early December, where we were seeing almost 400 cases a week. We've stabilized around 30 cases per week. The state is still behind the scenes running the data that they used for the Blueprint for a Safer Economy. And so I looked at that in preparation for this meeting, and both of our metrics, case rate and positivity rate, would still be in the orange tier if we were in the under the Blueprint. So while our cases haven't improved quite a bit, we haven't, we're still sort of worse than some segments of the state. I would also throw in a word of caution that based on our experience from 2020, COVID does appear to have strong seasonality. So while part of what we've seen in terms of reduced cases probably has to do with, or definitely has to do with the vaccines, we're also in the off season for the virus. And so with reopenings, with holiday gatherings, and then with the when cooler weather eventually returns, I think we can expect to see some surges, hopefully lighter surges, given that we have the pharmaceutical interventions and significant portions of our population are vaccinated. So a little bit on the variant. So the variant that's making a lot of headlines right now is the quote unquote Delta variant. The nomenclature that has been adopted is to use sort of the Greek alphabet to name these variants. That Delta variant is the one that emerged in India when they had a widespread outbreak going on. It appears to, or it's definitely more transmissible than the original strain of COVID. It's potentially also more dangerous and more capable of penetrating immunity. We did a press release. You may have seen that our first cases of the Delta variant were identified in Nevada County. We received confirmation of 6 cases. There still is a lag in getting cases genetically sequenced. And so those cases were from the beginning of June, the first couple of weeks of June, and we found out about them in July. The state's sequencing a lot more cases, but there still is a lag. And so that suggests, additionally, those cases were not connected. They were on both sides of the county. And so it appears that the Delta variant is present here in the community beyond just those 6 cases. So a couple things I'd point out, while some of the variants, including this one, appear to be better at penetrating the protection that comes from antibodies acquired through illness, the antibodies that are produced by the vaccine are different from the ones acquired through illness. And so far, studies have shown that all the vaccines that are out there appear to be highly protective against all the known variants. So this underscores the need to be vaccinated even if you've already had COVID. We have had folks get reinfected with COVID a second time, and in some cases be severely ill with that. So even people who have had COVID should be getting vaccinated. It also highlights the need for us to get more of the hesitant populations vaccinated so we can achieve herd immunity. Every time the virus infects somebody, it replicates millions of times and gives it that many chances to mutate and achieve a mutation that gives it an advantage, so to speak. The worst case scenario is that if enough people remain unvaccinated and we have a petri dish in our community, then a variant could emerge that penetrates the protection of the vaccines as well. So transitioning to the vaccine conversation, we have over 96,000 shots in arms in Nevada County residents as of yesterday. Because those are 2-dose vaccines, that represents approximately 54% of the people who are eligible have received both doses, and then another nearly 9% have received one dose. And so around 63% of our population has at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. Some places in the state are as high as almost 90%. You have Tiny County, Alpine is 89%. You have Marin County that's 87%. And there's a high correlation between the COVID rates and the vaccination rates. The top 10 counties in terms of vaccination rates are almost a third lower than the worst counties in terms of their positivity rate. And that would be much worse, I think, if we were not in a seasonal low period. So while the vaccines are highly safe and effective, we have seen a dramatic decrease in demand, and we have been scaling back resources accordingly. We have reduced the days that our Whispering Pines clinic is operating. We will be continuing to operate that through the month, and a number of our partners are also scaling back and normalizing their operations given the decrease in demand. Appointments can still be found and scheduled through My Turn. And then we're excited about the work that's being done on a slower and more intentional basis with our REACH team. We have a mobile vaccination team that's been doing great work reaching vulnerable populations. We had a striking success in Truckee where they went up to a mobile home park and ran out of vaccine because there was enough demand up there. And that speaks to that there are still folks out there who they're not opposed to getting the vaccine. They just have barriers to making it into those appointments. And so the call to action that I would issue is for all of you to use your networks. And if you have ideas for where we could dispatch the REACH team, we definitely are interested in doing that work and reaching those folks. And then additionally, a plug that it's a tool that's available to businesses. If you want to host a clinic at your work site, our team has been doing quite a bit of outreach and encountering some hesitancy or resistance. And I certainly understand why folks don't want to have the vaccine conversation with their staff. But with that said, studies show that the people who haven't yet been vaccinated, they don't trust public health. They don't trust their elected officials necessarily. They don't trust the media. Who they trust are their coworkers, their bosses, their family, their friends. And so I call upon you and your networks in the business community to utilize our REACH team and set up vaccine clinics. And I can post a link out in the chat to a form you fill out, which would prompt a conversation with our staff to coordinate a visit and a vaccine clinic for your business. So I think I'll stop there and see if there are any questions, and then I'll post out the link to the vaccine clinic form.
That sounds great, Brian. Yeah, Ryan, I'm looking to see if there are questions. I don't see any yet, but I do think it's really inspiring what your team did in the mobile home park. It really does speak to the difficulty reaching people and just the value of that sort of direct community engagement and outreach. So kudos to you and your team on that. So folks, he's in the chat, there is a link to this form. Ryan, did you want to talk anything about masking guidelines? Any update on that topic?
Sure. And so as I mentioned earlier, that's one of the areas where there still remain state requirements. The state views it as one of the less restrictive tools that are in the toolbox. It's effective at mitigating spread, and it doesn't require closure of businesses or for people to not see their friends and loved ones. And so they view it as having advantages in that respect. And because the state's emergency order remains in effect, the regulations the governor issues remain requirements. And I say that because it's still required for unvaccinated people to wear masks in most settings. And then vaccinated people are able to be unmasked in most settings. There are some exceptions to that. Everyone needs to continue wearing masks in healthcare settings, on public transportation, and in correctional facilities. But by and large, if you're vaccinated, you can be unmasked in most places under the guidelines. And if you're vaccinated, you should continue wearing masks. The states offered several ways that businesses can implement this. From a business has the complete right to say everybody in their business needs to be wearing a mask. They also can check vaccination status, or they can take a more of an honor system approach and put up signage that says if you enter without a mask, you're attesting to having been vaccinated. So there's a range of options to enforce the masking requirements.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Supervisors, any question for Ryan? Okay. I don't see any in the chat. We have Amy Ronnie, the Director of Environmental Health, with us. Amy, anything to share from you and your staff's work out in the field with our...
Yeah, Amy, what do you got for us?
Well, good afternoon, Caleb. Thank you. Good afternoon, supervisors and everyone joining us today. You know, environmental health is actually very excited to be moving into this new phase and coming out of the restrictions of COVID. So we're busy getting back out to facilities that are reopening again. And it's just a wonderful time and making that reconnection. I've worked very hard coming here to try to establish that your environmental health department is here to support you as a food facility or any facility that we would regulate. And we're really want to have a partnership. So getting out there to those facilities that have struggled and have had a difficult time and easing back into that cooperative relationship. So we're excited to get back into our new normal. And get beyond this. And of course, we're always here for anyone that has any questions, any operational questions, and getting geared up. We're already got our sign up sheet ready to go for the fair. So we're excited to get out there and get our inspections done. And then of course, we like to enjoy the fair as well. So yeah, but all is good. We're just happy to be moving beyond a lot of our restrictions. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. Any questions for Amy? While
I just have a comment, Caleb.
Yeah, please.
So Saturday downtown, enjoying the celebration, we ended up with the opportunity to have lunch with Jerry Serino. And Jerry is definitely one of my heroes, as is Amy. And Amy is definitely one of Jerry's heroes. So, to listen to what he's had to go through, he hasn't been open. He's been closed since the very beginning for the safety of his own safety and his employees' safety. And it was interesting to hear him say the thing that really caught him off guard was his people not coming back like he expected they would. And at this point, he had a staff of 47, and he's working with a staff of 22 right now. Putting in like 16-hour days himself, washing dishes, busing, whatever needs to be. So that's kind of what's going on out there. And what he's seeing is the fact that a lot of these folks aren't coming back until the unemployment situation changes. It's not, they're making too much money on unemployment, but a wonderful experience. And I want to thank you, Amy. You really are one of my heroes for what you've had to go through during this process.
It's very kind of you, Supervisor Schofield. Thank you. It really is a testament to the operators, though. It was the restaurants, and Jerry is an incredibly unique and very wonderful individual to work with. I've had the pleasure of knowing him when I first arrived in 2015. He was actually one of the first business operators that walked in and needed help. And it was really kind of interesting. We've had a great relationship ever since that. So I'm really excited for him to be open and to get back there. But you are correct. It's not just, Serino's feeling that. There are a lot of facilities that are feeling that from employees not coming back and how difficult that is to maintain their operations and reopen. So I'm hoping that improves as well. But thank you. Very kind.
Well, thank you. Well, why don't we move to the business resource part of our agenda? And we have Leslie Williams from the Sierra Business Council Small Business Development Center. And Leslie, what do we have to support our business community as we come out of sort of the worst part of the pandemic and we really move from the relief and to the recovery and rebuilding phase?
Thanks, Caleb. Good afternoon, supervisors and guests. The agenda includes federal, state, and then local funding. But I also wanted to share that Sierra Business Council has a business survey that we've pushed out. And thank you to those who are on the call that I know have already sent it out to all your members. We're trying to find out how COVID-19 and the wildfires have impacted the small business communities, so that at Sierra Business Council and the Small Business Development Center can share all that information with all of the agencies, associations, counties, chambers, so we can all figure out, try and determine what the best way to help the recovery is for the small businesses. As far as funding, the federal funding, the ARPA, is trickling down. We, most of everybody's pretty aware that the keyword's infrastructure. So we haven't really been able to assess independently who's going to have businesses money just for the small businesses, and that's how we can continue to help. Go to the local level, Nevada County Relief Fund. Obviously that's available, just closed round 5. And I don't know how many, I know Caleb, you could speak to this better than I, how many applications were in there and if they were all potentially going to be funded. So that's good news too. I think the big recovery money that's needed is for exactly what you were talking about. And Supervisor Schofield, my line through this whole unemployment issue relative to how it affects small businesses, they're not making more money, they're taking more money. So I kind of have a little bone to pick with anybody that doesn't go back and work. The moral compass, I'm really concerned about the work ethic, but that's a whole different dialogue. So every small business that we know has a sign, we're closed, we're closed, we're closed. They don't have the help, not just the restaurant sector. And the owners are doing everything. The retail sector is the owners doing everything, accepting the inventory if there is inventory. So there's still recovery need for money for small businesses for the supply chain items. They might get an order, let's say, and somebody can place an order, but then they have no cash flow to take another order. That's what I'm finding with a lot of small businesses right now. So there's a cash flow crunch. There's that working capital piece. So lending is a good alternative if they can work with their bank and get a line of credit. But the lenders are all, I'm a former lender, they're all looking at the historical financials. So they don't have the ability to service the debt. So nobody's really written a new credit memorandum to deal with the blip that every small business went through in 2020. So federal funding, waiting to see how it's all going to be dissected at the county and local municipality levels, see how we can help with that. State money, the California Relief Grant is supposed to be refunded, and we were hoping, as if everybody knows, June 15th for the budget to be completed and dissected. Then another $2 billion was going to be put into the California Relief Grant, which is $5,000, $15,000, and $25,000. So lots and lots of small businesses have been able to take advantage or have been beneficiary of that. And anybody that's on the wait list or has been selected or is still waiting, it's because we're waiting for this money for the budget to be finalized. So that's a kind of a sit and wait scenario at this time. I don't know of any cutoff dates or the next deadline date that something has to happen, but they're all getting their paycheck. Don't get me started on that. But we need to find out when it's going to be finalized and fund it again. And Lendistry has been the administrator for the California Relief Grant, and they have a lot of applications in their database. So chances of a new administrator coming into play, because there have been some questions about whether it's going to be a new administrator, if anybody's going to be able to bid for that other $2 billion. And probably not likely, because all that application confidentiality and how do you transfer, I mean, they did do a good job to keep all the applications instead of just closing out the whole system. So there are a lot of waitlisted small businesses that are just chomping at the bit, waiting for this new money to arrive. I'll put our survey in the chat. For those of you who have seen it already, we do ask for information on the COVID-19 impacts and the wildfire impacts. So thank you for everybody that pushed that out, and for those small businesses that are actually taking that survey. We appreciate it.
Leslie, we had one question in the chat, I believe, about the survey is, will the results be made public?
Well, yeah, I'm sure we're sharing. Excuse me, I don't know exactly what public means, but we're sharing it with all of our partners, absolutely. So that was kind of the whole point, to try and dissect the information so that we can help the small businesses from every possible angle. Yes.
And do you see any new federal programs either coming out of ARPA or elsewhere that small businesses should be on the lookout for?
That's kind of what we're waiting for, because all of the counties and municipalities are dividing up their monies, and it appears to me, we serve only 7 counties, but it appears to me that most of the agencies want to use that money instead of their own for infrastructure. So back to work project, which then would free up money that anybody didn't use, and then we could have a new conversation, I guess. So it seems like the small business might be put on the back burner through this funding cycle.
All right. Anything else you want to share right now? Well, I see that Marnie Marshall is on the call, and Marnie is back in the swing of things in Grass Valley. We haven't seen as much of her as we used to enjoy. Marnie, is there anything that you're hearing from the business community that would be useful for the group to know, or what folks are doing to sort of come back? Did hear from Supervisor Schofield that's pretty active down there on Mill Street.
Yeah, we've had a lot of events popping back up, so I've been really busy. It's good to see, vendors get back to work. They've also not been able to work as much as they wanted to this last year. I don't really have anything to add that Leslie didn't add. I mean, there's not a lot of new stuff to apply for. The businesses, I echo what she said. They're all really doing it themselves, just like everybody's kind of working double time, triple time while they wait for their employees to come back. And I know like Serenos has a hiring bonus. That's an idea that some people have. A few businesses are doing employee sharing, where, one employee will work between 2 or 3 different businesses. So I think that's just something that you start with your business neighbors if you're friendly with them. Places want to be open 7 days a week, and some have chosen to be open on very select days when they can get staff and they know that there's business. For some restaurants, they'll be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we all look forward to when we can eat on 7 days of the week and go to Serenos on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But there is excitement. There's also, businesses hope that the public understands as they're visiting, whether they're locals or tourists, that they understand that they're short-staffed and they want to give the level of service that people have become accustomed to. And they're doing absolutely everything they can, the best they can. So they just hope people are patient with their new employees they've been training that maybe hadn't worked for them before. But that's it. I think that's all I have to add. I'll put the link in the chat to have people sign up for our business newsletter, and we try to push out whatever information there is. We'll send out the survey for Share Business Council. And yeah, I hear the same thing about the Care Relief Grant. People would like to know if there's going to be more. We're very grateful for the Nevada County Relief Fund that is contributed. Yeah, that's it on my side.
Yeah, Marnie, that hiring bonus that Jerry had out there basically shows the desperation, because you just can't go and try and steal employees from other restaurants. And as of 2 days ago, he had no applications for that. So it's just, it's nuts. I mean, $5,000 retention bonus, and no one's taking advantage of it. And he had 4 slots. He still asked for it.
Yeah, I know, Leslie, we all wonder what people are doing. I think some people got retrained, did new things. Some people moved, and some people are not working, or maybe they still have, multiple things they have to do with kids and work. So it's a whole variety pack.
All right. Well, thank you, Marnie. Appreciate everything you're doing. And then I would love to let people know about the Nevada County Relief Fund. As Leslie mentioned, the 5th round did close last Friday, and the Sierra Business Council has been doing a great job managing the application and review of all of the applications. There were quite a few. We're still going through that, making sure everyone's in good standing, but I believe we'll be able to, I know we will make an announcement at the Board of Supervisors meeting next Tuesday. It's the 13th. So we'll be putting out a press release and getting the word out, and also, of course, notifying the awardees. Just to remind folks, if you don't know, the Board of Supervisors allocated $250,000 for this purpose, micro grants up to $5,000. This was for for-profit businesses only, and it's certainly plenty of people applied for it. So that's, there's still need out there. I do believe it's less than in terms of prior rounds where it was more urgent. So I do think that's a good sign. But we'll have all that information to share with you on Tuesday. Similarly, with the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, the supervisors also supported are supporting a number of new programs and loans. The next one that we are looking to bring to the Board of Supervisors will be at their July 27th meeting. So about 2 to 3 weeks from now, we'll come in. Staff has prepared a request for application, a competitive grant program. We're calling it the Community Resiliency Grants. And this will be up to $2 million. This is for businesses, for nonprofits, and for special purpose districts. Really about, of course, you have to follow all the ARPA federal guidelines in terms of eligibility. It's certainly geared towards mitigating the losses, but as well as allowing businesses, nonprofits, others to fund programs, projects that would help them recover and also make them more resilient. So we're still working out all of the details of that program, but hope to have that in front of the community by the end of July. And then we'll have about a 6 to 7 week application period, review, score all of those, and make those announcements, assuming pending board approval, of course, making those award announcements in the October meeting. So stay tuned to that. Please sign up for the link, Marnie, if you would, for the newsletter, because those of you who have been receiving my email, we're going to discontinue that email. So if you want to be getting news directly from the county from a newsletter that is solely focused on economic development, signing up for the newsletter with Marnie is critical for that. Of course, we'll get the word out through all the normal channels, but you'll get a newsletter in your inbox with this information if you sign up in that way. Marnie, did you want to add anything about this Military Appreciation Week that you posted in the chat?
I just want.
You muted yourself. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry, first time. Okay. So yeah, working with some people at the county on this really great project of making a Military Appreciation Week a county-wide event so that businesses in every area of Nevada County can offer discounts and deals for veterans and just make them feel really special in the fall. So we're starting to get the word out about that so we can get a nice list going. We'd love to see a lot of people from Beale come on over to our side of the county and visit all the great things we have going on here. So that's it. So there's a little link there for some information, and we'll be pushing that out there some more.
All right.
Ann, anything you want to say about that? No? Okay.
Well, great. I think we've covered now the two main agenda items we have. So let's talk about next steps. The supervisors put together this COVID business task force really to meet the urgent need to get information out to all of you and to basically, push out both health information, but also resources and assistance. And the good news is we really are seeing the light of the tunnel, and the vaccination rates, although as Ryan said, aren't quite what we want them to be. It's in the right direction. Businesses are starting to reopen. And so the question is what frequency do we need? I put the question out to the panel earlier and got all three responses: meet as needed, meet every other month, or meet quarterly. And right now, I think what we could do is plan to meet in September. So the first Wednesday in September would be September 1st, and then we could continue to reevaluate it. But since we have time, why don't I throw it up to the group, and those of you who are attendees, please feel free to put in the chat, use the chat function if you have a particular sense of what would be useful to you, which would be, say, every other month, quarterly, or as needed. And by as needed is, we hear about either something on the health side or resource side, we come together to share that information. And then Shauna just asked in the chat, what is the newsletter link Marnie is administering? Again, this is a county e-newsletter that will go out again as needed, although it's been going out pretty regularly, at least monthly, with resources targeted to the business community. So grant opportunities, that sort of thing. Also, any other, anything that we think is really economic development focused. Kimberly is weighing in every other month or a quarter.
Hey, Caleb.
Yes.
I went brain dead for a second on that military appreciation week. I met with Steve Rose yesterday, and we're kind of brainstorming that we want to get signs. And I saw Marnie, I saw the little stickers. Have you seen those yet? That says Nevada County appreciates its veterans. Well, what Steve wants to do is put a larger road sign on 49 coming into Nevada County, 20 coming in from east and west, and coming down 49 from Downeyville. So just let people know. And then we're going to try to figure out how we stick that lower one. Check out the shop, check out Nevada County shopping. Oh, we wanted to put one up in Truckee around Hirschdale also. And so that's still in the developmental stages. But, if both east and west sides are going to participate in this veterans program, then, we need to have signs all over the place. So I meant to mention that, Caleb, sorry.
Oh, not at all. All right, panelists, are any thoughts on your end about frequency? Are you good with going to starting with every other month, and that would take us skipping August and going to September? All right, I'm seeing thumbs up and head nods. All right, so if you did get the agenda from me last time, we will be canceling the August one and going to the first Wednesday, September 1st. All right, well, with that, why don't we turn it back to Supervisor Miller?
Everyone have a good no, they already had the fourth. No, it's going to get hot this weekend, so everyone find a nice, cool spot to the coast would be nice about now. So high of 60. Yeah, not that coast, Caleb. Not that coast. So anyway, just have a great rest of the week and stay cool this weekend.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Schofield?
Well, I'm looking forward to the time when we can phase this business task force out. Much of it's going to have to do with Ryan's report. So Ryan will definitely continue to be listening to you. But
and we don't invite Ryan anymore then. We just don't invite Ryan.
Then COVID goes away.
Oh, sorry,
there
Ryan.
You go. There you go.
Oh,
Is that all it takes? Wow.
Dan, you have a good time in Washington, D.C.
Oh, thanks.
You represent us well, okay?
I'd like to thank all of our panelists, our supervisors, Leslie, Amy, Marnie, Ryan. Thank you so much for doing this on a regular basis for so long now. And thank you to our attendees, for all of you for joining us and sharing the information that comes out of these meetings with your constituents. All right, with that, we'll stop recording and have a good day.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb.